There was a morning not too long ago when I stood in my kitchen, surrounded by things, papers, dishes, memories stacked in corners. I opened the drawer and it jammed, again. Not just because it was overfilled, but because, in a strange way, I was too. Too much noise, too many obligations, too many years of holding on to things, to roles, to expectations. And in that moment, I didn't want more. I didn't want a better drawer or another gadget. I just wanted less chaos, less clutter, less of the weight I didn't even know I was carrying. Have you ever felt that way? Like your life has grown full, but not in a good way? That maybe, somewhere along the way, we stopped noticing what truly mattered. If so, you're not alone. And the good news is, you don't have to keep living like this, because today, I want to take you on a quiet journey, a return to simplicity, to clarity, to peace. We'll explore 10 powerful habits from Japanese minimalism, not just for your home, but for your heart. These are not trends. They're timeless, and they've helped thousands, including me, create more room for what really matters. So if you're ready to clear the noise and breathe again, let's begin with the first shift, one that starts not outside but deep within. 1. Hibi, the peace, hidden in repetition. Every morning, like clockwork, my mother would fold the same towel, the same way, corner to corner, smooth the crease, a quiet breath. As a child, I never understood it. Why so much care for something so small? But now, years later, as I stand folding my own towels, I realize she wasn't just keeping the house tidy, she was keeping herself centered. This is the essence of Hibi, a Japanese philosophy that invites us to find beauty in our daily routines, not in grand achievements or exotic escapes, but in the humble rhythm of what we do, over and over again. You see, our culture often dismisses repetition as boring. We chase the next thrill, the next upgrade, the next version of better. But what if the very things we rush through, brushing our teeth, setting the table, boiling water, were the doorways to presence, to peace? With Hibi, even the most ordinary act becomes sacred, if we allow it to be. So here's an invitation. Choose one daily task, something small. Today, do it slowly, with care, with attention. Notice the sound, the motion, the texture. Feel yourself arriving in this moment, because maybe peace isn't found in doing more. Maybe it's found in doing one thing, fully. And when you do, something magical happens. The noise inside you starts to quiet. You don't feel behind or broken or rushed. You just are. Now, once the mind begins to quiet, something else begins to rise. A different kind of clarity, a sense of flow, which brings us to the next part of our journey. 2. Zazen and Mizu-no-Kokoro, stillness and flow and chaos. There's a kind of stillness that isn't empty, but alive. It's not silence that feels hollow, but silence that feels whole. This is the gift of Zazen, the ancient Japanese practice of seated meditation. No music, no mantra, just you sitting, breathing, being. At first it may feel strange, maybe even uncomfortable, because in stillness all the noise we've been avoiding comes rushing in, the unfinished to-dos, the regrets, the what-ifs. But if you stay, if you simply breathe, something shifts. You begin to hear a different rhythm, not the frantic drumbeat of urgency, but the quiet, steady pulse of presence. Zazen teaches us we don't have to run from the noise. We can sit with it, witness it, and in doing so, disarm it. But life isn't always still, and that's where Mizu-no-Kokoro comes in. The mind like water. Imagine a stream flowing gently over rocks. It doesn't resist, it doesn't panic, it adjusts. It moves around obstacles with grace, soft but unstoppable. This is the water mind. In our fast, rigid world, we're taught to push, to control, to power through. But what if there was more power in letting go? What if the next time life didn't go your way, you didn't clench tighter, you relaxed your grip? Try this tomorrow. Before you check your phone, before the rush of the day grabs hold, sit. Just for 5 minutes. Close your eyes. Feel your breath. Let it rise and fall like waves. And when the day brings surprises, as it always does, remember the stream. Bend, flow, move, without breaking. Because peace isn't the absence of motion. It's the art of flowing through it, without losing yourself. And as your inner waters calm, you'll begin to notice something else. Your outer world starts to reflect it too. So let's turn our attention now to the spaces we live in. 3. Rikyu and Kokoro. Your space should reflect your soul. Years ago, I visited a tiny tea house in Kyoto. It was smaller than most people's closets. The walls were plain, the light was soft, and in the center, just one bowl. Simple, unadorned, yet somehow I couldn't look away. That's when I learned about Rikyu, the tea master who changed the way Japan saw beauty. He taught that true elegance doesn't shout, it whispers. No gold, no glitter, just presence, purpose, stillness. And in that space, I felt something I hadn't felt in years: peace. Rikyu believed beauty isn't found in what you add, but in what you choose to leave behind. Now think about your own space. Does it reflect who you are, or just what you've accumulated? That's where Kokoro comes in. Heart, soul, essence. It asks, what truly matters to you? Not what looks good on Instagram, not what you might use someday, but what holds quiet meaning. We often surround ourselves with history, old gifts, forgotten hobbies, clothes that once fit. But here's the truth. Just because something has been with you a long time doesn't mean it belongs with you now. So today, try this. Walk through your space slowly. Find one item. Ask yourself, not, do I like this? But, does this still reflect who I've become? If the answer is no, thank it and let it go. Because every item you release makes room for something far more powerful: alignment. When your outer space reflects your inner values, you stop feeling split in two. You start feeling whole. And when a space begins to breathe, so do you. Now, as your home begins to echo your heart, you may notice the energy around you shifting too. Let's explore that next. 4. Feng Shui, shifting the energy around you. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt heavy? Not because of what you saw, but because of what you felt. The air seemed thick, the space stagnant, as if something invisible was out of sync. That's not imagination. That's energy. And in Japan, they believe your home doesn't just hold your furniture, it holds your flow. While Feng Shui is often associated with Chinese tradition, the Japanese have a deep relationship with the idea too. Only it's quieter, more intuitive. Less about rules, more about feel. They don't ask, does this look good? They ask, does this feel right? Let me tell you a story. A friend of mine, a widower in his 60s, once told me he couldn't sleep for over a year after his wife passed. He tried everything: new mattress, blackout curtains, even sleeping pills. But nothing worked. One day, he decided to rearrange the bedroom, moved the bed away from the window, cleared the nightstand, placed a small plant by the door. That night, he slept. Not just better, deeply. He hadn't just moved furniture. He had shifted energy. So how do you know where to begin? Start by walking through your home, not with your eyes, but with your intuition. Where does the air feel stuck? Which corner feels off every time you pass by? You don't need crystals or compasses, just curiosity. Maybe it's a chair that no one sits in, or a pile that hasn't moved in months. Adjust one thing today, just one. Then, feel. Because your space isn't meant to drain you, it's meant to support you. When the flow around you is open, clarity within you comes easier. And as your environment shifts, so does the way you move through your day, which leads us to our next reflection. Not where you live, but how you live. Let's look at the rhythms of your routine and how to simplify those too. 5. Shuko and Gamen, grace under pressure. There's a quiet kind of strength you won't find in a gym. It doesn't flex, it doesn't shout. But when life gets hard, it's the only thing that holds you together. That strength has a name in Japan, Gamen. It means to endure, with dignity, with patience, with grace. I once met a man in his 70s who had lost almost everything: his wife, his savings, his sense of purpose. But every morning he showed up at the park, same bench, same tea, same silence. One day I asked him how he stayed so calm. He smiled. "Because storms come," he said, "but if you keep your hands open, they pass right through." That is Shuko, to face challenges with elegance, not aggression. It doesn't mean you don't feel pain, it means you don't become it. And in a world that tells us to hustle, to fight, to get over it, Shuko whispers something softer: let's go through it gently. So what does this look like for you? Maybe it's not reacting right away when something goes wrong. Maybe it's taking one long breath before you speak. Maybe it's allowing sadness to sit beside you without rushing it away. This week, think of one situation in your life that feels heavy. Now ask yourself, not how do I fix this, but how can I face this with grace? You may be surprised. Often it's not the problem that breaks us, but how harshly we treat ourselves in trying to solve it. Gaman isn't weakness, it's wisdom, because some seasons in life aren't about sprinting. They're about standing still and surviving with softness. And when you do, you realize the hardest things don't harden you. They refine you. Next, let's explore something that's just as powerful. Not strength, but faith in the slow, quiet, unseen work of growth. 6. Shinjirarenai, faith in invisible progress. Growth is quiet. It doesn't knock on your door. It doesn't send you a progress report. It just unfolds slowly, silently, like roots deepening in the dark. In Japanese, there's a word for this quiet trust, shinjirarenai. It means believing in what cannot yet be believed. It sounds impossible until you live it. Let me tell you a story. A woman I know, in her late 50s, decided to declutter her life. Not just her closet, her calendar, her habits, her thoughts. She started small. One drawer, one yes turned into a no. 1 hour of stillness each Sunday. And for months, nothing seemed different. Her house still looked full, her mind still busy. She questioned if it was even working. But one day, her daughter said, "Mom, you laugh more now." That's when she knew. Progress had been happening all along, not outside, but within. You see, transformation doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it's a flicker, a soft shift in how you breathe, a new pause before reacting, a little more space between thoughts. But just because it's invisible doesn't mean it's not real. Shinjiro Reinai asks us to keep watering the seed, even when we don't see the sprout, to keep showing up, especially when nothing seems to change, because that's when the deepest change is happening. So here's your gentle challenge. Pick one habit, one thing that nurtures who you want to become. Don't track it, don't rush it, just do it each day for the next week. And let consistency be your reward. You don't need proof to have faith. You just need to keep showing up. Because eventually, the invisible becomes undeniable. And when it does, you won't just see the change. You'll feel it in the way you carry yourself, in the peace that lingers, even on hard days. And that peace, it grows deeper when how you live reflects who you are. Let's explore that idea next. 7. Iki, the quiet beauty of living with style and purpose. There's a kind of style that doesn't follow trends, a kind of elegance that doesn't age. It's not about designer labels or polished furniture, or curated Instagram feeds. It's about how you pour your tea, how you tie your scarf, how you move through the world with intention. In Japan, this is called Iki. It's the art of living with understated beauty, with presence, with soul. Iki doesn't mean being perfect. It means being authentic. It's grace, without the performance. I once met a man in a small seaside town in Japan. He wore the same linen shirt every day, biked to the same cafe, ordered the same tea. But the way he did it, there was rhythm, there was peace, there was pride. Everything about him said, "This is who I am, and I don't need to explain it." That is Iki. So, what does it mean for you? Maybe it's lighting a candle when you write your grocery list. Maybe it's playing jazz as you fold laundry. Maybe it's wearing that one necklace you love, even if no one sees it. Iki invites us to add elegance, not through expense, but through intention, to make the ordinary sacred, to infuse even the smallest acts with a sense of care and identity. Today, try this. Take one routine, making lunch, setting the table, watering your plants, and do it with your style, your tempo, your flavor. Let it be a quiet signature, a soft way of saying, "This is me." Because when your life reflects your essence, you don't just feel calm, you feel whole. And in that wholeness, you'll discover something powerful. You never needed more. You just needed to come home to yourself. Now, as we approach the final step on this journey, let's bring everything together and talk about what it really means to live lighter. 8. A quiet revolution, choosing less, living more. Some revolutions don't begin with noise. They begin with a drawer emptied, a morning pause, a single breath taken fully for the first time in years. This isn't about becoming someone new, it's about returning to someone you may have forgotten. The Japanese habits we've explored, Hibi, Zazen, Rikyu, Kokoro, Gamen, Shinjira-renai, Iki, they're not rules, they're invitations. To slow down, to strip away what's not essential, to fill your life not with more things, but with more meaning. Let's be honest, we've all tried to outrun the noise. We bought the storage bins, downloaded the apps, tried the hacks. But maybe the answer isn't outside of us. Maybe it's already here, in your breath, your steps, your quiet choices. So I leave you with this. You don't have to change everything overnight. Just pick one shift, one habit, one new way of being, and let that be the beginning. Because when you choose less clutter, less hurry, less noise, you make space for clarity, for peace, for the life you were meant to live. So tell me, which part of this journey spoke to your heart? Leave me a comment. Your reflections are not just words on a screen. They're a part of this shared journey we're all walking together. And if this video stirred something in you, subscribe, because we're just getting started. Minimalism isn't emptiness, it's fullness, made visible. And your life, it's ready to breathe again. So until next time, live slow, live deep, live with purpose.